Hey everyone, Evis here. Again, I find myself apologising for the lack of videos, but this time I have good reason. I've landed a new job, but unfortunately the shift hours are all over the place. It is literally 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. I could be in at any time. And consequently I found it very difficult to sit down and make videos because these things take a long time. Even the amateur, badly cut together crap that I do takes quite a long time and a lot of effort to put together. So today I'm just going to do a video log. I'm going to talk about a few of the things that have happened in the last couple of months. It's going to be old hat for most people, but hey, I never miss an opportunity to spout my mouth off about my views on things. I won't be doing just these. I will be going back to the regular reviews as well, but I need to find my centre, as it were, before I can carry on with that. So don't worry, reviews of new releases and classic games and stuff I like are coming, but just be patient with me. I am only human. I prostrate myself before you. Right, first off, XCOM. Ooh, very, very contentious at the moment. This was announced a while back that a new XCOM game was in the works, being published by 2K, and a lot of people were very angry to discover that it was a shooter. In fact, one famous internet celebrity, who I am sure you already know of, went so far as to scream betrayal in the very con where it was announced. That man has balls of brass. I, of course, was fuming. I'm of that generation, just barely, and I'm a big fan of the XCOM games. UFO Defense and Terror from the Deep are two of my favourite games, especially UFO Defense. And I'm quite saddened by this direction, I have to admit. But I'm more saddened by the crap that seems to go with this, what it seems to indicate about 2K and the way they're thinking. And I think nothing sums it up better than a press release, which I have here from 2K President Christoph Hartmann, which I shall read to you. The 90s generation of gamers all love XCOM, and we own the IP, so we thought, okay, what do we do with it? Every studio we had wanted to do it, and each one had its own spin on it. But the problem was that turn-based strategy games were no longer the hottest thing on planet Earth. But this is not just a commercial thing. Strategy games are just not contemporary. Yeah, tell that to Blizzard. Tell that to StarCraft 2. Tell that to Civilization. Tell that to Command & Conquer. There's an endless list of games which are strategy games and have all done extremely well. Saying that strategy games aren't contemporary is bollocks. Turn-based, perhaps you might have something there. Ground-scale strategy like Empire is turn-based, and it does quite well for itself, thank you very much. But small squad-based, I haven't seen many of them around, but that doesn't mean that they've fallen out of fashion. There are plenty of people out there who love them, myself included. It's just nobody's making them. These guys are missing a serious niche here. You've got a latchkey audience. You have an audience who grew up loving XCOM. They will buy an XCOM game if it is actually an XCOM game, which we'll get to. Next part. I use the example of music artists. Look at someone old school, like Ray Charles. If he would make music today, it would still be Ray Charles, but he would probably do it more in the style of Kanye West. Bringing Ray Charles back is all fine and good, but it just needs to move on, although the core essence will still be the same. Yes, because the core essence of Kanye West is the same as the core essence of Ray fucking Charles. This is possibly the stupidest, biggest pile of bull I have ever heard come out of the mouth of a publisher. And that includes Peter Molyneux's speeches. He may be a dev, but legendary bullshitter of the industry. Molyneux ain't got nothing on Hartmann. This rivals CCP's $500 jeans fiasco, which we'll get to. We'll get to that. That's what we're trying to do, to renew XCOM, but in line with what this generation of gamers want. The team behind it are asking themselves every day, is it true to the values of the franchise? It's not a case of cashing in on the name. We just need to renew it because times are changing. It's been a long day. This is just an outright lie. The first part was funny. It is a really stupid kludge of bad logic. This is just an outright lie. This game is not an XCOM game, full stop. And I don't mean to sound like a fanboy, but it isn't. XCOM is traditionally a turn-based strategy game. This is not. And not only that, but they have changed everything. Absolutely everything. Now, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are franchises which have gone through several different incarnations. I tell a lie, sorry. Command & Conquer. Command & Conquer Renegade. It certainly wasn't a good first-person shooter, but it was entertaining. It was Saturday morning cartoon violence. It was stupid, simple, basic, not very well put together, but it raised a chuckle. I played it through to the end purely because it was funny and it made me giggle. Partly through how bad it was, but also just through the sheer cheese of it. So you can survive changing the type of game within a franchise, but they've not just changed the type of game, they are changing the entire world setting. It's not near future anymore, it's 1940s, 1950s America. It doesn't appear to be based in the world anymore, though I may be wrong, but everything I've seen seems to indicate it will be purely American, which means even the XCOM organization itself has changed. And there are no enemies from the original games. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see a single solitary aspect of the original XCOM games in what I've seen so far. Which leads me to believe that this is, in fact, an attempt to cash in on the franchise name. A few weeks ago, I posted a rant on Reddit about Command & Conquer 4, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible game. And someone there, apparently, you can never be too sure online, said that they worked for Westwood when the game first started being created, and that it originally had nothing to do with Command & Conquer. They shoehorned it into the franchise further down the line in order to make it sell. And when you consider just what a massive deviation that game actually was, it's quite easy to believe that. And I think this is the same case here with the new XCOM game. Everything I've heard about it builds it up to basically be a Mass Effect clone. You have non-linear progression of missions, like flying around in space in Mass Effect. Some missions, while they don't advance the story, will unlock new tech and new powers, like Mass Effect. You'll be running around with a small squad in a tactical shooter, Mass Effect. You'll have powers which pause the game and then you use them for various effects, Mass Effect. Powers can be stacked, Mass Effect. Fighting waves of infantry with big boss monsters at the end. Pretty much every game ever made, including Mass Effect. This was a Mass Effect clone, and they've shoehorned the XCOM franchise onto it as a means to try and sell it. So I suppose the bottom line is, am I going to buy it? And the answer is probably yes. I feel like I should give it a try. At the very least, it deserves to be judged on its own merits. It may not be an XCOM game, but it may still be a good game. And to be honest, those people saying, oh no, you shouldn't buy it, hold out for an actual proper turn-based strategy, it ain't going to happen. 2K have decided they're not going to do it. If this game doesn't sell well, they will not chalk it up to people wanting an XCOM title. They will chalk it up to people not wanting an XCOM franchise. It's like the way that after we had the alternative vote referendum here in Britain, the Tories have latched onto it as the support of the first past the post system instead of a rejection of the alternative vote, which I have a feeling is what it actually was. Either way, this is the direction the franchise is going in now. The best we can hope for is that 2K will ditch the intellectual property and we can have fans, passionate fans, creating the game. I've seen a lot of good fan-made games. I've seen a lot of really terrible ones as well, but XCOM is something which I think really should be just given to the fans now. And if anyone knows of any good XCOM-style games, by all means, sling them my way. Anyway, speaking of terrible games, I've picked up quite a few new subscribers through my Dragon Age 2 ripping into videos. Hello to all you new people. And to be honest, I don't know where to go with those videos. The game's story is just so utterly, terribly boring. It is bland. It is dull. It's hours and hours of nothing happening. Nothing happening at all. And in the last video, I kind of tried to get around that by fast-forwarding through the blank footage, so you were still getting an idea of... I was having to spend ages trudging around, but you didn't have to sit through all that. I showed you the stuff that was happening, but stuff doesn't happen. It's like playing World of Warcraft. You go to the exclamation mark. It's not even an NPC, it's not a person, it's just an exclamation mark. You pick up your quest, you go somewhere, you... A... kill lots of things and come back. B, kill lots of things, take something and come back. C, kill lots of things and then talk to someone there to hand in the quest. The quests are boring as shit. Everything about this game is just dull. I can't think of any way to make this interesting. I can't think of any way to make this entertaining. I honestly think I should actually just scrub the whole idea, because it's just not entertaining. It's like trying to make a show about watching paint dry. I don't care how good of a presenter you are, or bad of a presenter. At the end of the day, you're trying to find something interesting about watching paint dry. That said, I would like to comment a little bit on some of the various things I've seen and things I've heard said about this game. Now that it's had a chance to settle, there's been a fair amount of analysis, some of it good, some of it bad. And I think the people defending this game can be more or less condensed into a post made by Penny Arcade's Tycho. I'm not a huge fan of the Penny Arcade comics, but I do very much enjoy Tycho's posts, and I usually check them every update day for Tycho's new posts. And he said that essentially the game was attempting to engage in high-end conceptual storytelling. Rather than telling a story, it was analysing a slice of place and time. The story did not centre around Hawk, it did not centre around the characters, it did not centre around saving the world, it centred around Kirkwall, the political factions, the tensions within it, and an analysis of all that and how that grew and how that ended up, with Hawk as nothing more than a catalyst and proxy for the player. It's a really nice idea, and I certainly think that that's what BioWare were trying to do, but they failed, and they failed hard. Now, the reason they failed is quite simply because, as I said, nothing fucking happens. It's not an analysis. There's no attempt to try and make you feel sympathy for the mages. Oh, there are lots of attempts to try and make you feel sympathy for the mages, but when your game design always centers around every fucking quest ending in a fight, they all turn out to be blood mages. I lost all sympathy with the mages. All sympathy, completely and totally, which is unusual. In the first game, I was on their side most of the time. I had no sympathy for them. They deserved what they were getting. They deserved to be locked in the fucking tower. They deserved to be made tranquil. Because they're all fucking blood mages. And someone might argue that it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're so repressed because they may be blood mages, they turn to blood magic as an escape. And yes, that is true. But again, we never see that. We never get the idea. We never get any sort of character interaction which brings that idea into us to try and build sympathy. The mages are fucking cannon fodder. Nothing more. That's all they serve as. Cannon fodder. They're not even characters anymore. When you take that away and think, oh god, that fucking idol. The game could have saved it with Knight Commander Meredith. An analysis of a person who is quite clearly bigoted, and the damage that they can do when they get into a position of power. And it could have well been a very interesting character study of how a person can abuse that power that they've been given, and the effects that has on people, and how that person rationalizes their hate. Except it was a magic sword that made her evil. This makes no fucking sense. And I'm sure it will be built up in Dragon Age 3 and explained. But I'm not going to get Dragon Age 3. This sword, this idol, is something you find in the mid-third of the game. It's never explained. All they know is it turns people into assholes. It's a magic rock that turns people into assholes. Never explained. Never built on. Never established. Never used beyond maybe 2 missions. And again, I have people telling me that your actions affect the city of Kirkwall because quests you do in the first segment and the second segment have an effect on the third segment. And yeah, that's true, but those decisions are completely inconsequential to the actual high-order structure of the story and the city. If this is a story about the city and the times of the city, it still completely fails to hold any interest, because these quests, which do span the life of the campaign, have no impact on the political outcome. Nothing does. You can't even support characters in the final fight because you end up having to kill both of them regardless of what happens. I think there may be a way to save it if you don't let Anders build his fucking bomb. But I don't know, I don't care. Anyway, if you people want me to carry on with the Let's Rip into Dragon Age 2 videos, I will, but give me some idea as to what you want me to do. Do you want me to do it as a more traditional, say, Spoony style review, where I just highlight specific parts? Do you want it done as a Let's Play with the fast forwarding? Do you want to sit through every last tedious begrudging minute? No. No, you fucking don't. Leave your comments, send me messages, let me know what you feel. Next item, rioting in EVE Online. I don't play EVE anymore, but I have a lot of friends who do, and I've been following this microtransactions fiasco with glee because I always love seeing the little guy stick it to the man. For those of you who've been hiding under a rock, essentially CCP, the company that runs EVE, decided to introduce microtransactions. At the moment, they're for nothing but vanity items. However, a leaked internal mail indicated that there would be items available through microtransactions which would have an impact on the game. Meaning that if you wanted to be competitive, you'd probably need to spend more money on premium ship hulls, premium ammo, premium modules, and so on. Now, some games do this really well. World of Tanks does it really well, but World of Tanks doesn't have a monthly subscription to go with it. So this is just outright greed. The situation only got worse after the patch, when it was discovered that there was another leaked email where Hilmar, he was basically CCP's, I think he's the lead dev or the president, I can never remember which. Either way, high up level. Basically just said, oh yes, we knew the players would respond really negatively to this, but let's just weather it. The end result was players attempting to physically destroy CCP's servers. People were basically loading up ships with the most server-intensive loadouts they could, going into high-traffic areas and basically just trying to crash the server with lag. This was done in several areas, and actually had some success as well. And people started cancelling their subscriptions in their thousands. That is one hell of a statement and one hell of a show of unity. And I take my hat off to all the players who were involved in that and actually had the balls to go through and cancel their subscription instead of just whining and bitching and not actually doing anything about it. Hats off to you all. Notes here. Yeah, but be cautious, because CCP will no doubt try to sneak this in again. The end result was they flew what they call the council, Stellar Council, I think it's called, which is basically a conclave of players who act as a go-between between CCP and the player community. They're sort of elected representatives by the players. In reality, they are little more than mouthpieces for CCP to make announcement, just like employee reps at any office where you might work. They flew them out to Iceland and basically said, there is no fucking way we are ever going to introduce microtransactions for premium high-end items, not with this climate. And the council was satisfied, and everyone on Evis is starting to calm down. I am, however, still highly amused by the fact that one of their in-game items, a monocle, costs the equivalent of about $60, which I just find absolutely hilarious. This is where the £500 jeans things come in, where they're trying to defend the prices of it. Just Google CCP microtransactions jeans. You'll find it eventually. It is balls to the wall insanity. Logic that made Christoph Hartmann's look positively straight. But anyway, yeah. Hats off to the EVE community for fighting the power and winning. The Steam sale. Kind of disappointing, I thought, this summer. Well, obviously it's the first summer they've had it. But the main reason I didn't get that much was because I already had pretty much everything I wanted that they were selling. I've noticed that they tend to have the same core games on in each sale, and once you've got them, it's usually only peripheral stuff that holds any interest, especially indie titles. But indie titles are so cheap that if I spot one that I want, I'll just buy it there and then anyway. That said, one thing I did pick up, and was awesome, was Shogun 2. I gotta admit, I lost a little bit of faith. Well, not faith, I've just not been into the Total War series since Empire. I don't know what it was about Empire and also Napoleon, but I think it was the turn limit that did it in for me. I have low-level dyspraxia, so keeping track of time can sometimes be quite awkward, especially when it's, even if it's turns, it's the same basic idea of time management, and I'm not good at time management. There's the same thing in Shogun 2, but for some reason in Shogun 2 you just don't notice it as much. Also, I don't think the Total War style of gameplay lends itself particularly well to guns. I just never felt there was much you could do in the way of tactics beyond stick yourselves into a formation and shoot. Shogun, however, is considerably better. It's taken all the lessons that they've learned in the other games. They've added much improved diplomacy, much improved economics, more units. The other nice thing as well is when you're very close to winning the game, the point where you're so large no other clan can feasibly stand against you, all the clans will unite, and suddenly it's a hard game again, but still perfectly possible. I'm starting a co-op campaign as well with a friend of mine. That's going pretty well. We're both working together, and it's proven to be quite entertaining. I'll do a proper review on it later, maybe. But basically, gist of it, it goes back to the old style of gameplay, with the trimmings of the new ones. If you're a Total War fan, you'll already have it. If you're sitting on the middle and you've enjoyed Total War in the past, this is probably for you. In closing, I would like to say a little bit about the reviews I have planned next. As many of you know, if you read my blog, I got a Kinect quite a while back, and I have done nothing with it. I've been meaning to review some Kinect games, but honestly, I've not found any which I would actually deem worthy of the money. Microsoft's support for the Kinect has been terrible. Just terrible. Most of the Kinect games amount to nothing more than mini-games, and they're charging full price for them. In that regard, I think the best motion controls on the market at the moment is actually the PlayStation Move. It's not as technically advanced as the Kinect, but the support is a lot better. You can buy lots of cheap games off the PlayStation Marketplace when your credit card information isn't getting nicked, which make it far more worthwhile. You can't really play motion controls on a serious, full-budget AAA title. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Maybe with the Wii. I'll concede that, maybe with the Wii. But by and large, AAA titles, move controls, motion controls even, don't work. So, minigames all the way. That said, I found an exception a few days ago called Child of Eden, which is made by the same folks who made Rez. So I figure if anyone knows how to make a really good game where you have to use your whole body, it'll be those bastards. So stay tuned, and hopefully within the next week or two, I will have video footage of me looking like a prat, playing on Kinect Adventures and also Child of Eden, and I will give you my verdict on them. Anyway, that's about all I wanted to discuss, so if you have any comments, any suggestions, feel free to use the messaging system, leave comments on the video, and if you're watching this for the first time, please subscribe, and check out the other stuff on the channel. I'm Evis, and I'm gonna get hammered.